Hi there, I am Furion and I am your host, and admit it, you didn't expect me back so soon, but here I am with another battle report! Oh, that felt good. Right, so without further bravado claims, let's dwell right into it. This was a sparring match with me playing High Elves and my friend playing Sylvan Elves. The game was under 0.202 rules. The lists are visible on the screen. So the Sylvan army had maxed out shooting with 2 times the shooters with armor piercing 3, 1 times the shooters with poison, some hail shot and some units with countercharge. My army was an attempt to squeeze in the stuff before the nerf apocalypse. I've decided that Wardens of the Flame have to go to the shelf because, you know, now you have to remove wound token before special saves. So instead I went for Knights of Rima to use the protection of their armor save. Unfortunately, there are only 7 of them. The other interesting thing is that I took the Sea Guard. And about the Sea Guard, boy and holy guacamole, how OP they are is beyond words. This is a unit that can take any threat and can shoot. So this is like pure OP-ness. Like, on a more serious note, I just want to test them. I don't expect much of them. And indeed, not much have they delivered. It doesn't seem to me that they are playable. They have definitely moved towards being playable, but whatever, this is supposed to be a battle report, not Highborn Elves Army book bantering. So let's go on to the battlefield. What you see is a picture after Vanguard. On the top, on the left, are all the shooters, and next to them are the war dancers with heroes. On the right are a fast cavalry, a unit of dryads and wild huntsmen. Close to the center line are enemy unit which have made a vanguard move. This is wild huntsmen and the fast cavalry unit. On my side, on left flank, is a lord on a horse behind a unit of fast cavalry. Sky sloop in the back. Sea guards with both heroes next to it. On the right flank I deployed Knights of Rima, supported by Phoenix, a sky sloop in fields and a fast cavalry unit. Now don't worry, I have more than one picture from this battle report, so I won't torment you to admire this single picture for the next 10 minutes. However, you have to realize that in the 9th Age, the deployment and the first turn movements are responsible for 80% of game outcome. Together with second turn movements, these are responsible for 95% of game outcome. On this channel I will not sweet you with info that this unit rolled that much and in Magic Phase I did this, because for the outcome of the game, in most cases, it is negligible. So tell me if I'm wrong, but I assume that you come here to listen about the tactics and brags, so calm down and listen, because boy, you're in for a treat. We played the counter-thrust deployment. I won the roll and I was forced to choose a side. The table was terrible for me because if my opponent drops first, he will force me out of any advantageous terrain. I picked the side on the bottom. My opponent started to deploy and he went with fast cavalry in a line. This was the best move he could have done. With red I indicated an area in which none of my units could deploy, so the ruins were completely beyond my reach on turn 1. We continued with the alternating deployment, and at my opponent's 4th drop he decided to deploy his entire army and take the first turn. This was a very good decision of him, and I was pretty certain that a tough battle will be ahead. So far my opponent has done 0 mistakes. And remember that deployment is a very important phase of the game. So after seeing my opponent's army, I've decided to do some party tricks to save this morbid situation. I knew I would have to do some risks to come ahead. I've decided that I would be in the best shape if I could take a wound or 2 on my character with 1+ rerollable save and take 0 wounds on my Sea Guard. I didn't want my opponent to focus fire on Sea Guards because in this battle they had to serve the role of archers. Charging anything was a wish that won't come true. So I gave him the hero with armor to shoot at. The hero was deployed over 34 inches from enemy mage, so he was safe from spells on turn 1. Now let's talk about my Vanguard move, because I think it's interesting. The Elaine Reavers moves in a way that, even if my opponent will move the full 10 inches forward with his Pathfinders, and he kills 3 out of 5 Elaine Reavers, then he still won't be able to see the prince. He will have to kill 4 Elaine Reavers before being able to see the prince. Sure, he will kill the Elaine Reavers, but what else could I realistically do with them against 50 archers? Against this many shooters, they were obsolete anyway. So after my opponent's first turn, my greatest plan yet has succeeded. After getting shot with 5 shots from fast cavalry and 10 shots with poison from sentinels, I've lost 3 models, so the 10 Pathfinders were forced to finish the job, and the hero took shooting from only 1 unit of Pathfinders and took 0 wounds in effect. Now about my opponent moves. On right flank, the Dryads, Wild Huntsmen and Fast Cavalry went back a little bit. On the left flank, he reshuffled his units and moved the Wild Huntsmen and Fast Cavalry to my back. I took heavy beating in magic and shooting, and in this turn I have lost a Sky Sloop in the fields, a full unit of Elaine Reavers, but that was actually okay because they saved the prince, and I took a single wound on Elaine Reavers on the right flank. Now I start my first turn. Let's talk about the situation on the left flank. I moved the hero out of the unit and moved the rest of the unit into ruins. Sky Sloop was repositioned. So as you can see, the move of Wild Huntsman has been completely countered. Now all they can do is to fail a frenzy check and give me 3 points. This move is the main reason why I think that my opponent's Vanguard and first turn was meek. It would have been much better to put the unit as shown on the picture. In this way, he would block the movement of Sky Sloop towards his shooters, and also he blocks the advance of Phoenix to a safe spot behind the hill. Let's go back to the situation in the bottom left. I've made a small mistake here. The position of Sky Sloop is not perfect. While it is beyond the line of sight of fast cavalry, I didn't think far ahead enough for the next turn. With fast cavalry gone and Wild Huntsman gone, the best place to put the Sky Sloop would be in the ruins. However, I positioned it too much in a corner, so it won't have enough movement to do it. In this case, it didn't matter for the outcome of the game, but that's not the point. Let me tell you a little bit about that. The point of sparring games is to eliminate mistakes. In every game, a bad player makes 20 small slip-ups. Out of those 20, 18 will have no to little effect on the game, and 2 will be game-breaking. So the thing is, if you learn to avoid easy mistakes such as this one, then you'll have easier time grasping on mistakes that are more sound in consequences. So when you want to be better at the game, don't be fooled at thinking that mistakes that didn't happen to have consequences at that instant are irrelevant. Because that's simply not true, goddammit! It's high time you remember that. Okay, moving on, back to the game. Now about my prince on a horse. He moved to a top position. The plan was to use breath weapon from Dragon Staff on the Pathfinders. This was a success. I managed to arouse a panic check on leadership 8, but that was passed. However, I was quite happy where my lord character ended up. He was in a good position to be a threat to his elite shooters. It was not possible to threat the unit I used breath weapon on, so I disregarded it entirely. I angled him so he can focus on units that are in front of him. Finally, the right flank. I moved Phoenix behind the hill, and fast cavalry stayed in a line and blocked his Wild Huntsmen and Dryads. It was very important to block those 2 units. If my fast cav only blocked the Huntsmen, then the Dryads could have marched forward and blocked Knights of Rima from charging. The position of my fast cavalry is set up that when Wild Huntsmen kill it and overrun, they are unable to hit the Phoenix. Also, Knights of Rima are positioned more than 12 inches from my fast cavalry, so even a maximum length of an overrun roll is no good to reach them. I did insignificant amount of wounds in magic and shooting, and that concluded my turn. In the second turn of my opponent, the situation looked as follows. On the right flank, a single Reaver survived, which was fantastic. From shooting and magic, Phoenix took 3 wounds. However, the most grievous stuff happened in my opponent's movements phase. The Dryads were mispositioned, and they allowed me an overrun into his fast cavalry. With block from a single fast cavalry guy on Huntsman, this was pretty much a game breaker. So that's strike 1. The stuff that followed was even more glorious. The War Dancers in my opponent's turn decided to not move in order to shoot on close range with hail shot on the Phoenix. The Phoenix survived and... yeah, that's 22 hits on Blade Dancers from the sweeping attack, also known as strike 2. After that, my Sea Guard shot at the lone characters, killing the BSB and wounding the mage. That makes strike 3 and game over. The sun went up and it saw sylvan blood seeping from the forest. Cavalry continued to overrun and pillage the flank. Hero came from other side and the Sea Guards did a wound here and there and claimed the objective. The game ended up in a 20-0 win for me. I'd like to thank you for your time. The goal of this video was to earn your subscription, so if you think I've earned it, then please click the subscribe button. Thank you very much, until next time, bye!